Hello, my name is Michael Kraft. I'm here to talk to you and discuss about the details and the benefits of a professional learning community that can be instilled on your campus to help improve student achievement and growth. Now, I know a lot of you probably do have plans in mind from your principals and administrators as to how to meet, how to get together, and how to plan for your students to make things more efficient for them. These are just ideas and thoughts that have proven to be very successful for some campuses, and a lot of school districts are implementing professional learning communities as a basis of growth for all of their campuses. Myself, I'll tell you a little bit. I'm a teacher of 10 years. I'm a native of Houston. I moved down to the Rio Grande Valley, worked in Brownsville high schools for 2 years, and then I moved to San Juan, where I work now for the PSJA High School and also Alston Middle School. I myself am a band director, so I spend a lot of my times with kids hands-on after school programs, and I deal with an array of students, anywhere from gifted and talented to people in remedial maths, everybody's all together. And it's really quite a treat because you get to see the way these kids interact and how things work. And their achievement, I can tell you, is stemmed directly from how the teachers collaborate and how they meet together to discuss problems with the child, problems with their behavior, problems with their lack of assessment results. And every time we get together, we seem to go one step further in understanding each other and how these kids can learn. We also, as administrators, have to guide these lessons. So here is a presentation to kind of help us put down and divide up our time in order to make it an efficient and positive and collaborative effort to help our students. So the first question a lot of people have is, what is a professional learning community, or otherwise PLC? Some basic things I've put down here is you implement organized approaches to education. You create conditions for continuous school improvement, and promoting collaborative ideas to ensure student growth. Now, you can do two things without the other, but all three of these combined will really be the most effective approach for your child and your students to be successful. You know, whenever we get together and we have new shared ideas, it often brings a sense of ownership to all of us. Every teacher, even down to a freshman level teacher or somebody who's been highly experienced, we all have ideas. We all have the same kind of growth towards the kids, and we want them to do well. And in order for that to be heard and shared, it has to be discussed. We also have to have a continuous look for growth. Now, while infinite growth is not a possible thing, we always can take steps forward. There's always that kid that missed it by 10%. Well, next time we'll make them pass their mark and meet those standards. Another issue, like I said, is we get together with an organized approach. There's no reason to go about this without some sort of organization and without thorough thought and consideration about how we do this. Especially teachers, this is going to be meetings that happen outside of regular class time, and I am not one to waste your time, your very precious time. We all have families to go home to. We all have things to grade and test. We have extracurricular activities that we deal with. We are here to spend our time well, and we want to do it for the students. There's a lot of denial and skepticism throughout the years. People have thought, well, teachers have already done it this way. We've already been isolated. We've already done our own paths, and our kids are still successful. Lots of kids go to college, and here's some statistics some people may say. The United States has the second highest college dropout rate among 27 countries. That's a study done in 2008. So with kids dropping out, that's quite a lot, and I think a lot of it has to do with them just not understanding either the information or the direction of the school, or they just, a lot of kids I hear, they say they just don't like the teacher. Well, sometimes kids don't want to work hard. but it could also be a matter of motivation. And the more collaboration we can instill, the more motivation will come from it. Between 1960 and 2000, the percentage of Americans 25 years of age or older with a high school diploma almost doubled from 41 to 80%. That's according to the U.S. Census Bureau of 2010, meaning that school is becoming more tangible. So why change it? People are thinking, well, people are actually graduating. We've always done it this way. How can we make that a justification to make changes and to add PLC and to add more work for you and more meetings, even though obviously the rates have gone up? Well, denying the existence of a problem does not serve either national interest nor the individual students' interests that we are intending to serve. That's coming from Dufauer in 2011. We are, as educators, always looking to take a step forward. We always must help the students look forward. So to look at the statistics that say that we've been successful doesn't mean we can be more successful. And that leads to the last statement. Regardless, the need for growth is clear. It is in our best interest to collaborate to find solutions for our students by implementing new practices that can be stemmed from the group effort of PLC practice. We have to work together to make the progress that we want happen. Even if we're happy at 80%, maybe next year we'll be more happy at 85. And that's how you take those steps, one bite at a time. I thought I would share a quote with you. I've been looking through a few texts and seeing things that pertain to this, and this one especially speaks out to the next thing we're going to talk about. So let's take a second. It should come as no surprise that one result of the multiplicity of activities in districts that demonstrate dramatic gains in student growth was a collaborative professional school culture. Leaders understand that the way to attain their ambitious goals was developing a collaborative and professional school culture, what is commonly called a professional learning community today. Said by Mr. Ogden and Archibald, I believe that pertains exactly to what I'm talking about. We have to grow through, we have to look deeper and figure out how, as together, teachers collaboratively, we can help these students out. Okay, so what are the big ideas of PLC? What are our main goals? What are we looking for? We all have to have direction here, especially if we're going to have meetings once a week and start talking about how we're going to do things here. So the main thing we're looking for is finding out what does a student know? How do they learn it, the process? How do we respond to students who do not know or understand? And lastly, how do we expand for students who are proficient? We cannot only work on the kids that are behind. We also have to excel the kids that are doing well. So with these things in mind, you can always look, tackle, and find your direction as to what you think is best for a situation, for a lesson, for a tutorial, for an after-school meet with your group, whatever you think is necessary to make the assessments feel tangible to the student. And another quote for you here. Principals arguably are the most important players affecting the character and consequence of teachers, school site, professional communities. Principals are cultural makers, intentionally or not. Said by Miss McGillen and Talbert. I mean, it really does show. As an educator myself, I've had 6 different principals over 10 years, and every one of them is different. Some are good, some didn't do so well, but regardless, negative or positive, they infected the school and affected the school however they seemed fit. And every single choice seemed to matter, from the staff to the student to the way lunch is run to the way kids walk back and forth to classes, and especially instructionally. How many teachers want to do Saturday school? How many teachers want to stay after school? They seem to be motivated solely by the leadership of the principal. So this quote definitely pertains to what we're trying to talk about here. A leader has to instill and imprint this need for forward thinking and collaboration and positivity to help breed a better classroom structure and to help student growth. A lot of it does lay on these principals' eyes, but also we have to let that power be delegated to others so that we can also live under that shared dream and shared goal for the kids. We'll talk a little bit about the principal's roles here. For all this, of course, you as teachers, you do the work. Without you, we would not be very far, because the kids are the ones that interact with you the most. You're the ones that interact with them. But us as principals and leaders, we have to lead this to make sure that your very important tools are being utilized in the best way possible. Schedule meetings with teachers in like class subjects and grade levels. We're going to guide collaborative meetings. We're going to generate new conversations that can lead to educational expansion. We're going to lead teacher discussions towards topics that address pertinent issues. We're going to use data-based information to pinpoint areas of need. We're going to organize meetings to be ran efficiently with substance that can be useful. We're going to present practices that can be utilized in classroom settings, and we're going to promote collaborative ideas and shared responsibilities. Ladies and gentlemen, we do not mean to waste your time here. And I know you have a meeting for this or that, parent meetings, parent calls, you have your own kids' stuff to go to. If we're meeting for this 30, 45-minute time period, it is not meant to be wasted. It is meant to be collaborated, and I plan on scheduling this to my best ability for it to be effective, concise, and useful for you, because in the classroom, that's where the real magic happens. If you don't make sure that you utilize these kind of practices and well thought out preparedness, then the kids are going to suffer. And so I'm all about trying to make sure we as a school community can give the kids the best experience possible. We'll talk a little bit about the benefits of PLC meetings and practices. While all of us here are probably thinking there may be some downfall, oh, I lose time for tutoring, you know, there's always a negative in there. Well, let's focus on the positive right now and look at what we can do to make this useful for us. And we'll see all the benefits right here. We can create shared visions and missions, something that we can all take ownership of. We can have a collaborative culture where we understand each other, our kids, our subjects, and how to approach them. We can find collective inquiry, whereas we look inside and inward all at the same time, at the same information, to help us understand each other and our students better. We can make action-oriented experimentation. Whereas instead of sending emails, talking, waiting for progress reports and report cards, we can already have in mind a preemptive strike to help the students that we know need the most help. That way, we're not caught without any kind of warning when it gets closer to the state assessment. We can make a commitment to continuous improvement. I can't instill this enough in you. Us as adults, we reflect what we do to onto our children so much. If they see us being stagnant and not pushing through and not finding new ways to find improvement, what do you think they're going to do? These kids have to learn for a lifetime. And for them to be lifetime learners, we do as well. So to continuously strive for that improvement is a very important aspect that we all have to embrace. I'll continue. More benefits of PLC meetings and practice continued. We can have result-oriented priorities, looking at data, looking at other information, looking at what we personally see with these students. We can actually make these kind of priorities and list out what we feel like is the most important thing to tackle, so that we all may get behind something and find a good direction for this campus. We can have authentic assessments, meaning more than just your yearly state assessment, benchmarks that happen, once every month or so, or even your daily quizzes and tests. A lot of times we don't see each other's assessments. We don't see how another kid is writing and reading. We don't see how well a kid does in math class because he sits in the front of the room. We need to understand every component of what a student goes through in school in order to understand their mind and how it develops. So to have this authentic assessment and to look inward and use that data to create a more effective approach for students, that is a very important aspect. Self-directed reflection. A lot of times we think if the student doesn't understand the information, we did something wrong. Or if the test comes back wrong, we did something, or they weren't paying attention, or the kid never is quiet in my class. They're always talking and distracted. Well, now we can take a look right here to how can we reflect on not just the assessment and its results, but the way that we presented it. If we can find a way to present it in a way that grabs their attention and keeps them actively engaged, we can in chance make it more reflective of a good assessment results and also higher understanding for these students. Strong leadership support and ownership. This is one of the most important topics here. Without leadership, we would most likely be heading in different directions without any kind of direction whatsoever. And I don't mean leadership from me or my administrators. I'm talking about leadership within the classroom. Even a department head and the person that's right next that has the class right next to them, when they collaborate and they have the leadership and ownership to follow through with something, the kids can see that. The kids can see right through how we are. The person that shows up every day without any kind of ownership as to what they do, the kids lose respect. Those are the kids that say, oh, he's the easy teacher. By easy, they mean they don't have to work hard. It's our opportunity to challenge them, because when they are actually challenged with real life issues, they're lost. They will be lost without it. So we must take ownership of what we do, and we must project that on a daily basis. Without that, the students will not know the kind of role they must take as adults soon in their lives, which is closer than we think. I have another shared quote for us here. Effective leaders with moral purpose don't do it alone, and they don't do it by hiring and supporting individuals. Instead, they develop and employ the collaborative. The collaborative, sometimes known as professional learning communities, gets these amazing results because not only are leaders being influential, but peers are supporting and pressuring each other to do better, Mr. Fullen proclaims. And that is absolutely my point. See it as if we are all a conglomerate here, and we are all together. And honestly, in a school community, I believe that we are greater together than the sum of our parts. If we can do things collaboratively, smoothly, effectively together under the leadership of all, because once again, you don't need to be called a leader to act like a leader. And that's how all of us should be treated, so that we can impress that upon our students. PLC structure. We will have a shared purpose to ensure high-level learning for all students. We will have a shared mission, create a structure and culture for all students to learn. We will have collective commitments to clarify how each will contribute to achieve a vision. And we will have shared goals to identify indicators to monitor progress. Ladies and gentlemen, this structure relies on all four of these aspects in order to be successful. It takes a lot of commitment to sit through all of these, and I know that you have your daily testing. You have to grade. You got to see this. You have a child that has a baseball game you got to go check out. Coaches that are also teaching, you have to do all your practices. We understand these things, but in order for us to be successful in what really, really matters, and that's these kids learning, we have to stay with these pillars and make sure the structure stays strong. Creating collaborative culture. Organize into teams of like grade level and subject department. So we're going to go in and do that now. You should be already seated at the tables based on what you play, but if there's any late people or stragglers, go in and sit down with your like teachers or subjects. Provide teams time to collaborate. So I'm going to give you guys a moment to go on and get together, talk about issues, things you see in your class and in the hallways around the doors you stand outside of. Provide supportive structures that help groups become teams. So we can't just talk about anything. I know a lot of us have a lot of things to talk about for some of these kids, but we're going to have direction as to what we can do together to make things more improved. And clarify what teams must accomplish. Look, the end-all goal here is for the kids to feel successful, confident, and college ready. So in order for us to hit those teams, we have to break it down and find out what to tackle and who to go after to make this achievable. Most kids, they say, "No, hombre, sir, I can't read. No, I'm stupid. No, I'm never going to college." These kind of ideas are being held out to them, and we need to make sure that that kind of toxicity is kind of brought out of them. And it's not going to be done in a negative behavior. We're going to have to promote them from the bottom up. So these meetings are designed for us to find ways to instill positivity in the kids and to make them grow into an educator or into an educated individual who feels like they are a contributing member to society in a positive way. Continuing, creating collaborative culture. We're going to monitor the work of each team and provide direction and support as needed. Yes, we need to have open conversations about our students and about our subjects, but there's going to have to be moments where we have to stop and talk about why are we not reading enough in certain classes? How come we're not teaching bell to bell? What can we add to do exit and entry tickets to make kids more engaged as soon as they walk in the door? These kind of things are going to help us out into giving us direction for the meeting, okay? Next, avoid the direction of shortcuts. Look, a lot of us, we just fill out the form and we turn it in and we say we do the entry ticket, but we do it for a week and then we just stop. And I know it's hard to make a schedule and to keep it going, but it's not impossible. It's very much tangible for you to stick to a routine and to do it. All it takes is a little bit of writing down. And I guarantee you, the students, you all know it. As soon as you do something and you say, we're going to do this every week, guess what happens the next week and you forget? Hey, I thought you said we were going to do this. And now you just got called out in front of all the kids. We have to remain diligent, structured, organized. Celebrate short-term wins. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to sit here and lecture you about how you can do things better all the way until the STAR test comes out. We need to take these short-term victories. If that kid shows up and he's a little bit more attentive on Tuesday than he was on Monday, then that's a victory. I don't know what you need to do for an incentive. Give them a little pencil, give them a little star, whatever you have to do to help them out, to make it feel like every little thing they do positively is reinforced. Because without that reinforcement, they're going to feel like it was for nothing. Finally, address those who are not contributing to the teams. If we are going to meet together and you're going to show up on your own time to meet and you're going to sit there and stay on your phone or not pay attention or to give negative or snarky comments about things, you're not contributing to this teaching world. And honestly, we're in a service community. And if you don't feel like serving, then I think you should go do something else, because we really have to be a part of what we're doing here. And in order for the kids to be successful, we all have to be on the same page. I really appreciate the people that challenge the ideas that are brought forth so that we can figure out how to grow together. But the people that challenge the actual idea of working for it are the ones that are found as toxic in this school environment. And that's the reason we fail. Another quote for us here: schools that function as professional learning communities are characterized by academic focus that brings clarity, coherence, and precision to every classroom. These schools have to have a compact list of clear learning expectations for each grade and subject or course, and tangible exemplars of student proficiency for each learning expectation, Mr. Sapphire pronounces. Absolutely, guys. There has to be cohesiveness and precision. It has to happen every day in classroom, and it has to make it seem like it's tangible for the students. If you say this is hard, this is impossible, you can't do it, how do you think they're going to feel? Tools for progress, as we're going to move along in this PLC Live. We must constantly look for new assessment procedures and practices. It's not enough to do the same packet and test you do every 6 weeks. We're going to have to do more to find out how to assess these kids, how to check for understanding constantly. I know that it's posted along some of y'all's classrooms. I see it above the doors where the teachers see it. It says, stop, check for understanding every 10 minutes. You must, I know that we know the topics very well, but you must stop and check to make sure the understanding is clear for every student. And if they have questions, they have questions. We have 190 days with these students, and it's our job to make sure one is not wasted. Promote ongoing monitoring of student learning. Another thing to talk about for little quizzes and exit tickets and checking for understanding. If it's ongoing, if the students know they have to write in a journal every day, if the kids know that they have to fill out an exit ticket and turn it in, they'll start taking it more seriously. And especially if it's graded, they'll start noticing that what they do every day matters a lot more than that test at the end of the week. And guess what? If they focus on those daily goals, the end result will be much higher. Utilizing SMART goals in assessing our outcomes and growing with their expectations for student achievement. Okay, well, since we don't have an audience here today, I put down frequently asked questions. How will meetings collide with our classroom schedule? Each one of you has a conference period and a planning period. We're going to have it be a weekly for now. Let's say math department has first period off every day. We're going to do it weekly, math period on Mondays, science department on Tuesdays, like that. A schedule will be posted and put in your emails. But we're going to try to have it during that conference or planning time so that it doesn't interrupt your lunch, it doesn't interrupt your after school tutoring or before school time, because I know a lot of you have kids to take to school yourselves. So we'll start like that by utilizing those weekly conference period times. The other days of the week, you will have time for your own planning, to collaborate with your own grade level room, so you can make sure that you're also micro collaborating within that. Another question: what if an absent teacher misses important information? Well, we will make sure to email it, and I will be looking at like people that frequently miss. So that'll be dealt on a case-by-case basis, but I really expect every one of you to attend all of these meetings if you feel like you would consider yourself a dedicated teacher. If not, then that's a different conversation we'll have to have. But just keep in mind that after 1 or 2 absences, you will receive emails from us and possibly an in-person meeting regarding your feelings of the meetings and what you think the future of yourself here at this campus will be. What are the benefits of meeting attendance? The benefit is obviously for student growth. I mean, that's why we're here, to serve the kids, to try to find ways to look into each other's ideas, to align our goals and priorities, and to also to not be stuck in an isolated classroom. You know, if you are in one room by yourself and you see 25 kids 7 times, and all you do is talk to kids about the subject, you're going to think you're doing things right or wrong, and you won't even know. So we have to collaborate to discuss this. Who will run these meetings? Well, most of the time it's going to be either myself or one of your department heads or an assistant principal that's available. That will be scheduled just like you are, and it will be consistent, okay? Barring any emergency or anything like that. Lastly, how will we be separated for the meetings? Separated meaning how will we be divided up? I want to have a math department for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. I want y'all to meet together because we all have a conference period that time. We will meet together and then we'll separate by grade level and discuss separate topics, but we'll also be a conglomerate and talk together about how to set our scope and sequence through these 3 years. And then, of course, there'll be moments where, like, let's say 7th grade STAR is coming up. We have to, like, discuss more with the 7th graders. But I didn't want you guys mixed up with different subjects, because I feel like we can't get as specific as we could, okay? Lastly, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you coming, and I really hope if you have any questions, please email me. My door's open, or give me a call, or shoot me an email, like I said, and we can discuss any of these issues. Keep an eye out for an email for your schedule, and I want to start these meetings as soon as next week. Thank you.